Ross Barton is given a firm warning by Charity Dingle in Emmerdale next week, following the intense Labour storyline. But will he really stay away from baby Leyla? Charity fears that Ross could develop a connection with his secret child after assisting in her delivery during this week's episodes. Wanting to handle things herself, she makes it clear he should keep his distance. The tension unfolds as baby Leyla returns home after her dramatic birth. Once Charity completes the official paperwork, Sarah and Jacob Sugden begin a new phase in their lives as they are allowed to bring Leyla home. Farah's barn has been beautifully prepared to welcome Leyla, and everyone is in high spirits, at least to begin with. When Ross arrives at the celebration, the tension between him and Charity is unmistakable, reveals an Emmerdale insider. Pulling him aside, Charity tells Ross not to grow too emotionally involved with the baby. Ever since he helped deliver Leyla in the hospital lift, there's been a possibility he might start seeing her as his own. Later, when Moses asks Ross to join a family photo, Charity anxiously waits to see what he'll do. Ross acknowledges Charity's worries and insists he isn't part of Leyla's family, the source adds. Of course, that's not actually true, but most people there have no idea. After declining to be in the photo, Ross makes an excuse to leave, giving Charity hope that he understands her warning. Previously, a DNA test revealed that Ross is Leyla's biological father. He and Charity shared a secret encounter, which disrupted the original surrogacy arrangement involving Charity, Jacob, and Sarah. At present, Jacob and Sarah believe Leyla was conceived through IVF and that she is their biological daughter. However, with the manipulative Dr. Todd now knowing the truth, it may only be a matter of time before everything is exposed. Manipulative Dr. Todd uses baby Leyla to unsettle Jacob in a disturbing Emmerdale spoiler clip. Jacob Sugden is left shaken next week in Emmerdale after encountering Dr. Todd while leaving the hospital with baby Leyla. Todd had previously agreed to start over after medical student Jacob dropped the complaint he had filed against his supposed mentor, who had been tormenting him for months. As viewers are aware, the calculating doctor has made Jacob's life miserable since he began working at the hospital full-time, constantly criticizing him, undermining his decisions, and destroying his confidence. Growing frustrated, Jacob finally chose to speak up last week by reporting Todd to HR. However, Todd managed to regain control when she stepped in to help Charity Dingle, who had just given birth to the baby she was carrying for Jacob and her granddaughter Sarah. Todd then twisted the situation, convincing Jacob that Livs could be at risk if she lost her job because of his complaint. Despite his initial determination, Todd ultimately gained the upper hand after discovering the truth about baby Leyla's parentage, specifically that Jacob is not her biological father. As viewers will remember, Charity had a brief encounter with her ex Ross Barton around the time the embryo transfer failed, leading everyone to believe the pregnancy was a result of the procedure. Wanting to give Sarah the child she had always dreamed of, Charity kept quiet about the baby's true origins. With this knowledge, Todd quickly began blackmailing Charity, pressuring her to persuade Jacob to withdraw his complaint or face the consequences. Although it wasn't easy, Charity eventually convinced Jacob to drop the report, and he agreed to stop pursuing the matter. Relieved, Todd promised a clean slate once Jacob returns from paternity leave. However, upcoming scenes show the pair meeting again at the hospital as Jacob and Sarah prepare to take Leyla home. Jacob feels uneasy when Todd approaches and closely observes Leyla before remarking that the baby has his eyes, a comment that cannot be true given he isn't her biological father. She then praises Jacob, claiming his mother would be proud and expressing confidence in his ability to balance parenthood with a demanding medical career. Her sudden kindness leaves Jacob confused and suspicious. Has Todd really changed? It seems doubtful, especially after she hinted that his ordeal was far from over. While Jacob may get a brief break during his time off, Todd is set to continue manipulating events in her favor in the episodes ahead, even involving Vanessa Woodfield to further her agenda. Will she go to any lengths to bring Jacob down? Charity Dingle makes her comeback to Emmerdale next week, after welcoming baby Leyla, but she's immediately pulled into a tense and potentially devastating situation. Viewers are aware that Charity has been acting as a surrogate for her granddaughter Sarah Sugden and her partner Jacob Gallagher. However, the truth is far more complicated. She wasn't carrying their child at all, but her own, and the father isn't her husband, Mac Boyd. Charity became pregnant with Ross Barton's baby after a brief fling last year, and has been desperately trying to keep it hidden ever since. Sadly for her, manipulative Dr Todd overheard a secretive phone conversation and uncovered the truth about Leyla's real parentage, later using it to blackmail Charity as part of her scheme. In the episodes ahead, the fear of her secret being revealed weighs heavily on Charity, even as the paperwork is completed and Jacob and Sarah bring their daughter home. According to actress Emma Atkins, Charity doesn't struggle with handing the baby over. I get the impression she's seen herself purely as a surrogate, and beyond that, she hasn't developed any strong maternal bond. Even with her own children, she's not especially maternal. She's fiercely loyal and loving, but that typical maternal instinct isn't really there. So I think she'll manage giving the baby to them, especially since it's still within the family. It's not like the child is going far away, so she still has that connection. She can't allow herself to feel maternal anyway, as it could complicate everything. When Charity finally returns home, she's surprised to find it decorated in celebration of her arrival. The mood is joyful at first, but things quickly shift when Ross turns up with Moses. Given everything that's happened, the tension between Charity and Ross is obvious. After warning him not to form an attachment to the baby, the situation becomes even more uncomfortable when Moses invites Ross to be part of a family photo. Ross responds by telling his son that he isn't part of Leyla's family before deciding to leave. Will Charity finally feel some relief, or will Dr. Todd's blackmail continue to hang over her? To make matters even trickier, Dr. Todd begins getting close to Vanessa Woodfield at the Woolpack after they end up on the same darts team. Fans of Emmerdale may spot a familiar face in the latest episode of Beyond Paradise, as a former cast member makes a guest appearance in the season's tense penultimate installment. Elaine Claxton, who previously appeared in Emmerdale as Pierce Harris' estranged mother Martha, featured in the show back in April 2017, before departing a couple of months later in June. She now turns up in Beyond Paradise, joining the residents of Shipton Abbott as a puzzling new case lands on D.I. Humphrey's desk. According to the BBC's episode summary, the 5th episode of Season 4 sees Humphrey and Esther left confused when a dog walker discovers a man painted green and tied up with ivy. Claxton takes on the role of dog walker Mavis, and as the mystery unfolds, the team begins investigating links to the folklore figure known as the Green Man. Their inquiries lead them to an off-grid community living in the countryside. However, tensions rise when their woodland home faces demolition by a city developer. Suspicions grow as the Green Man symbol keeps appearing at various crime scenes, including being painted across a developer's office before it is set ablaze. The episode also introduces two feuding brothers whose intense rivalry hides deeper secrets that threaten to surface. Elsewhere, D.I. Humphrey continues to struggle with a difficult decision about who to dismiss, as his new superior, Mr. Smith, increases the pressure. Actor Chris Marshall previously described Mr. Smith as this season's main adversary in an interview. Emmerdale is broadcast on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available for streaming on ITV.